I set the very difficult task of making $10,000 playing only small stakes poker, but there's a catch. If I go busto at any point in this challenge, I quit my YouTube channel forever. And if you don't think I'm serious, you're in for a surprise. Stay tuned and get ready for an amazing episode in store. I'm gonna be a little rusty in today's session. It's been over 2 months since I've touched a poker chip, let alone played a game of poker, so yeah, let's see if we still got it. In this first hand of note, I looked down at ace-jack suited after we see a limp from early position. I make it $15 to go, and luckily for me, we get one caller, which is that limper, and the flop comes out queen 10-8 rainbow. He decides to bet for some reason, and he makes it $15. Yeah, we can go a couple ways with this hand, but to be honest, it's been a little while since I played the game, so it feels like calling is the most reasonable thing to do. Hoping for a beautiful turn card, and that is exactly what comes. The King of Hearts comes. It does introduce a backdoor flush draw, but it does give us the nuts, which is always a good sign. Doesn't matter how bad you are at poker, it's hard to misplay the nuts. So when the opponent bets for 20, once again, we are faced with a decision, and considering he's only got, like less than 200 in his stack, I feel like we've got to put a little more money in the middle now. So if the river comes off a scare card for his holding, we can at least make some money. I raise to 50, and he pretty quickly calls. The river card now comes out the 3 of hearts, bringing and completing that backdoor flush. So when he checks it over to me, I feel a little safer knowing that I do have the ace of hearts here. Not that I'd be really worried about him betting a backdoor flush draw, if that makes sense. All that to be said, it's pretty simple. I have a good hand, and when he checks to me, I should bet. The question is how much I should bet, and the answer is all in. He has about 130 or 140 bucks left, and that is about the size of the pot, so we're trying to go for max value here, and it does not come to fruition. Our opponent pretty quickly makes it fold, and just like that, been a while, but we do drag in a pot early on. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come. The one thing with gambling, and specifically poker, is no matter how much time you take off, it's kind of like riding a bike. Once you've learned how to do it, you can kind of push a little bit, and although things may change around you, you can kind of catch your footing. And in this case, I don't really have a choice, because on the very next shuffle, we look down at an absolute monster. Pocket queens, the ladies, we make it $10 to go. We get a couple of callers here, and when the flop comes out, giving us a 2-pair situation, it comes out 9-6-6. Yeah, easy spot for us to continue betting here. I'm going to bet a little bit on the larger side. I make it $20, to which the button player decides to make the call, and he has about $50 or $60 left in his stack. Pretty easy spot here for us when the turn comes out. A 5 doesn't change anything for us. If he now has a straight or something, then that's cool, I guess. But in reality, my hand's just too good to ever fold. Let's put the money in the middle. I go all in, and he instantly makes the call. Going off to river, and this pot is obviously not the biggest, but it's important in the grand scale of this bankroll challenge. The river card comes out a brick. He shows pocket 7s after I show my queens. Somewhat of a cooler, but I'm definitely happy to take this pot down. 2 big wins for us to start the session off. Already up a couple $100. Can never complain about that. All right, I do something that maybe I'll regret doing, or maybe I'll be really happy I do it, but there's a big game going on right now, and these are with some of the bigger players that play even bigger stakes than what they're playing today. But whenever the game is good, there's always a rule that is set in poker, and that rule is whatever the best game in the room is, you should do your best to sit in that game always. Even if you don't have the full amount of money, and although variance does exist, I am a believer in this statement, because although variance sucks and I can run really bad and lose money, if you take a risk, and at least a mitigated risk at that, I'm not going to take my entire $8,000 some odd bankroll to this table, but maybe taking a couple thousand is not the worst idea. Giving us a shot at quintupling our money, quadrupling our money is very feasible in a game like this. So I make the executive decision that I may regret later, but I head over to the 3, 5, 10 game, and I take what's left of my bankroll over there, and we're going to take a shot. Over an hour has passed at this table, and there is literally nothing to note. Yeah, we just don't have a lot going for us. We were luckily enough able to win a nit game hand for a small pot here, but the nit game is going to be on for the entire session, and so is the 10-4 bounty game. Yeah, a lot to worry about, but the nit game is simple. It's pretty much a bounty game. If you don't win a hand before everyone else does, and you're the last man standing, you have to pay $25 to every single person at the table, which equals $200. It's not cheap, it's not expensive, but it's enough to be annoying and to be labeled as an it, which we don't like. All that to be said, the very first hand of note pretty much is a result directly to the net game and not being, wanting to be the last person in the game. There are quite a few limps when the action gets to me in late position, and I look down at queen 8 of clubs. We decide to isolate to $50, to which we get 3 callers. Not a great situation, but it is a little better when we end up flopping top pair on a flush draw board. The action checks to me, and I'm going to bet a little bit on the larger side. We do have top pair, and our hand can definitely use some equity denial, as well as we can get value from a bunch of those marginal holdings, so I make it 140. Jared, the recycler, a very long time friend of the vlog, and somebody that's been playing quite a bit on the hustler lately, decides to make the call, and the turn card comes out the 7 of clubs. Doesn't bring in that front door flush, but does bring in some different straight draws. When Jared decides to check it over to me, I'm kind of in between a crossroads. Is my hand strong enough to get 2 streets of value or 3 streets of value? I think the answer is clear. It's definitely only 2 streets. The problem is there's not very many river cards that I'm going to be able to go for value. So yeah, we can play this as a check and evaluate, but in the real time, I feel like Jared and me have quite a big history together. He knows that I can be really weak and or bluffing here, so a little bit of a meta game, and I decide to take full advantage of it and just go for it. I bet out 275, looking to target some medium holdings, maybe pair plus straight draw, pair plus flush draws, and he decides to make the call. The river card is a 5 of spades, not bringing in the front door flush draw and bringing in a massive 4-liner. When he checks it to me, easy spot for us to check back. He shows king 8 of diamonds, so he had me absolutely dominatrix, but fortunate for us there as we lose a pretty important pot. And to be fair, I was only pressing the issue because I hadn't won the net game yet. So 2 problems. We lose that pot, which was a pretty sizable one in relation to the bankroll that we have currently. And even worst case scenario, we still haven't won our knit button.
What if I told you that I'm giving away $1,000 during this month of August? So I want to give a big thank you and a big shout out to everyone that follows this channel. It's a very simple giveaway. You have to be subscribed, you have to comment on a video, and you have to like this video. I'm giving away $250 to 4 different people. This giveaway ends in August. So at the end of August, we have a little over a week left. This is your chance to win free money for doing pretty much nothing. So big thank you to you folks. This is my way of giving back, and I'm very thankful for y'all. Another small thing you guys can do is play with me on Club GG. The link is at the top of the description. It's the only place that I feel safe putting my money on the online poker felt. And if you guys didn't know, I've taken quite a long break of playing at least live poker. The only thing that's kept me reasonably fresh and not from going crazy without playing the game is playing over on there. So do me a favor, click the link at the top of the description if you want to play with me, or you can DM me on Instagram for more information. Outside of that, I'm super excited for the giveaway. Thank you guys so much for your support. Let's get back to this video.
Continuing to press for this knit button, which I shouldn't be an advocate of at this point. Just play your regular game, Kieran. We race to $60 from under the gun with Queen Jack offsuit. Not the worst race in the world, but in a full ring game, yeah, this is pretty dusty. We should know better than this, but to be fair, I'm trying to use my image. Haven't played any hands at this point, so maybe people just respect my raise a little bit. Doesn't seem to be the case here because early position $10 straddle decides to make a 3-bet to 325 bucks. The $20 straddle makes the cold call, and this is an easy spot for us to just pitch it, but we don't. We're playing like a buffoon. We make the call. Yeah, investing about what, 15% of your stack pre-flop with Queen Jack offsuit doesn't take a brain surgeon to realize that's not a winning play. Either way, we're going off to a flop here that comes out 5-3 deuce rainbow. Not much of note here, and when that $10 straddle player decides to bet, the middle player decides to make the call, and I have an easy fold. The turn card comes out the king of diamonds, to which that 3-better decides to put the middle player all in for about $1,000. He makes a call, and the river card for them comes out a brick. The 3-better shows pocket 10s, and that middle player shows pocket jacks, so had him 1 pip, but you could see how really strong these holdings were. And yeah, granted, I had a reasonable percentage, 30% or whatever, because I did have that 1 over. In reality, it's just a disaster. We should know better. Pitch the hand pre-flop and move on. I get that I'm card dead and it's easy to press the action in spots like this, but sometimes it's not your night, and it seems like this might be shaping up to be just that night. There's only 3 of us left in the Nick game, and I have made the pact to myself that I'd rather go broke than lose this game. Obviously, because that's the only thing that we can do to explain these situations and how we've been playing to this point. There's quite a few limps for $20 when the action gets to me in the blind and I look down at pocket 5. I think this is a decent spot to squeeze here for all of those aforementioned incentives. We don't want to get involved in a multi-way pot with a hand like this. We can obviously always get set underset, which would be a disaster. But beyond that, there's just an incentive to go for it. We don't want to lose the Nick game, and I definitely want to be the last aggressor in the hand, so I make it $150 to go. Only the recycler makes the call, and the flop comes out king 8-7 with 2 clubs and a spade. We do have, in fact, a club in my hand, so I do have a backdoor flush draw as our saving grace and a backdoor straight draw, but in reality, we have a pretty shit hand. With the action on me, I decide to down bet for many reasons, but one, I don't have a very big stack here, so why not throw out a small, cheap little rate bet here, and maybe we can just rake this pot in for like nothing? Yeah, the recycler's having none of that. He makes the call pretty quickly, and the turn card comes out a 10 of clubs. Kind of interesting as it brings that front door flush and then obviously brings in some random straights. I'm kind of in between a rock and a hard place again. Do I turn my hand into a super mega donkey bluff, or do we just give up on it? To be fair, I don't even know if this turn card is better for him or for me, to be totally blatant. It's been too long since I've played to really know all these things off the top of my head. But look, I'm the last aggressor, and there's no way I'm going to lose this Nick game. I've just made myself that promise, so I go for it. I don't even think I need to bet that big here. A hand like ace king with the ace of clubs, like I don't need to go that big. I don't need to protect my hand from anything, so let's just bet out $325 and see how he reacts. He reacts by taking his sweet ass time. The recycler is thinking about it for some time. Seems like he's thinking about some very mischievous activities, very much scared at this point, but luckily for us, he ends up making the fold. We have to show our hand to win the nit button, but luckily we don't lose the nit button game. But at what cost? My heart was racing. That was kind of exciting. Haven't felt that feeling in a while. Definitely hoping that last hand starts giving us a little momentum. We haven't won any hand up until that point on this new table after starting off pretty hot in that smaller game. Looking for the tides to turn in this next pot, we are playing a massive bomb pot. I should state that there's a $1,500 cap going post flop, and I'll kind of leave it at that. Usually when bomb pots come up in a session, I almost just go right over them. They don't really add too much to a poker vlog, and it's kind of difficult to follow. So I'll bear you guys all of the action that happens, but just understand that I make trips on one board, and we have, I believe, trips on the other board as well, but it's like lower trips. I think I have trip 3s and there's trip jacks available. All that to be said, we end up losing the absolute maximum. So we lose $1,500 in this pot. Just thought I'd let you guys know. Very frustrating and a little bit disappointing to have lost most of my stack in a game that I have. Not that I have an edge in no limit holdem. Do I even have an edge? I could probably have an edge against an actual fish, like a tilapia, maybe a salmon even, but I bet you tuna's just got me. I'm just drawing dead against a tuna. At this point, we've lost about $1,700, and the big bulk of it has unfortunately come from that bomb pot. Looking to try to find a way to book a win or even mitigate the losses, but that's not going to come at an easy task. There's only 2 people left in the Nick game, and once again, I am one of them. Yeah, we've been super card dead, and I've done, honestly, surprisingly, my best part to not fully go donk mode, although it looks like that's not the case in the hands we've reviewed, but honestly, I'm just getting bored and I'm trying to make shit happen. In this following hand, there's a couple of limps, and I look down at ace deuce offsuit. Clear cut fold. This hand is an absolute dumpster fire. We don't want to play a multi-way, and there's not even any really great nut properties as we aren't even suited. It doesn't look great, but we make it 80 for whatever reason. We get a couple of callers here, and we end up flopping top pair on a monotone board that's super wet. Ace, queen, jack, all spades. Don't have a spade in sight, and beyond that, I have top pair with no kicker, but that's never stopped me before. And when the middle player, the middle limper, I should say, throws out a bet, I call, and so does one of the blinds. This is now becoming a disaster pretty quickly. 3 ways to a turn card on a monotone board that's super duper wet. It's literally wetter than the Pacific Ocean at this point, and even wetter than, I was gonna make a mom joke, but you know, let's try to keep this PG-13. I digress. The turn card comes out the 8 of hearts here. So, you know, if we had any reason or incentive to fold, maybe now, because now 10-9, which is an obvious straight draw, now makes that straight. And even better yet, that same player is still betting. This time he bets out $250. Easy spot for us to fold, and I even get a live tell on the opponent that's still in the hand that hasn't called yet. He so clearly wants to call. He has the chips ready in his hand. He's totally ready to put them in the middle, and I still make the call. What the fuck are you doing? This is how you actually become close to broke, buddy. Fucking hell. But that's what I do. I can't lie to you guys. I'm going to be honest in these spots. What an idiot I was, but here I go, dusting money for no reason. I don't even know what I can possibly be. Is he just blasting off with the naked king of spades? That's what I'm hoping for, I guess. Obviously, that blind player does make the call, so we're still 3 ways to a river card. That is literally the nail in the coffin for this session. It's a 9 of spades. Bringing in a 4-liner, bringing in the 4 flush liner. Everything about this situation sucks. And when the blind player now donk leads out for 400 or 500 bucks, the middle bettor decides to fold, and we have a very easy fold now because even I can screw this situation up. He ends up throwing over the ace-10 with the 10 of spades, and just to rub salt in the wound and the cherry on top of how awful of a session we just had, we end up losing the frickin' nit game. So yeah, not a great situation. Super disappointed in myself. Yeah, it is what it is. We'll talk more about it in the aftermath, but it's hard to take a light on myself. Granted, I haven't played poker in a while, but it sucks to suck.
Okay, so we ended up booking a loss. Granted, I feel a little bad for myself, but mostly because I was card dead, but it didn't help that I didn't play very well. So, gotta be honest with yourself. Played pretty mediocre. Should have made an easy fold, honestly, in that PLO bomb pot situation. Didn't really go very much, but yeah. Forgot that boats don't work like I think. Holy fuck, Paul he brought me out of retirement just to come lose in his game. So fuck Paul. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys ever want to, do anything, make sure to click the link at the top of the description. You guys can play with me over at Club GG. It's the easiest thing you could possibly do. You can play from anywhere in the world, and it's the only place that I would ever trust putting my money in the online poker world. So that's kind of all I have to say about that. Although I have been retired from poker for the last 2 months, I've been playing quite a bit online. So things have been going slightly better over there, which means I haven't lost all my money yet. But yeah, otherwise, hope you guys have a lovely day. Stay happy, stay healthy, and more importantly, we're good at the tables. We lost 26-48 tonight exactly. So you live and you learn. That hurts the bankroll a little bit, but when you take shots, it's going to happen. We recover, and we'll play better next time.